I like where this.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. This is the second part to, you
To the
know,
other, to the
to
next
the other
CTT.
one.
Hmm.
Second part two, I like where
Yeah.
this is going. I never know where this is going to go. That's the beauty of it. Like, I never know, right? It's
You
just,
know, it's funny you said that. These narratives of the past lives, they're never
mhm,
ending and they're always very unusual and they always hit home in
mhm,
terms of like personal issues or, I mean,
mhm.
it's like they're analogies for your current emotion, and the narratives themselves are very interesting. It's like you can make a book with everyone's story, everyone's life trauma or whatever past life trauma. It's like there's just a million of them. One that
Oh,
really
yeah.
stood out to me was the one where I'm a monkey. That's so
Yeah.
cool. It's just there's so much of it, so you never know where it's gonna go. But
And and
um,
and that primitive behavior. I don't know if you saw what I put on the Patreon. I did one for myself with George the other day. And I'm like, okay, George, why am I floating in space? And I was like, what am I doing here? And then the more I went into it, I was a star. And I had a definitive lifespan, and then I burned out. And as I was burning out, I was going towards the earth, right? I could see it. And I said, well, while I'm here, I want to like zoom in to the earth. And when I zoomed into the earth, man was very primitive. But what I didn't understand was how much of a part I played in my own existence for everybody else, like all the creatures and all the man on the earth, because they used me as part of their navigation tool. And when I burned out, a lot of people got lost, people died, you know what I mean? Like, never in a million years would I think that we have lifetimes as stars in space. But that was very telling, because if we have lifetimes of stars in space, that means each star has a soul and has a purpose, just like each planet has a soul and a purpose, right? Never before had come across this. What I love about the CTT, it expands your consciousness. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can mind probe anything living or anything that has a soul, I can mind probe a star, and I can mind probe the planets. If as long as they have a consciousness about them, I can do it. So that's our next step.
yes,
our next
yeah,
our
we should
next
absolutely
video,
do those.
we should mind probe Mars. Okay. So let's go
Okay,
back to your issue. So we
okay,
left off where you were a slave in Egypt, and even though the odds were stacked against you, you just felt like this complete failure. Okay. And your family history, I guess you would eventually link your family history back to Egypt at some point, or that area. Um, okay, let's keep going here. So this anger at yourself and sadness. So let's continue to tap all this away, because we have to make sure each past life regression is completely cleared up. If it's not completely cleared up, you cannot process the life lesson around it, and you will not be complete and able to move on. Okay.
okay,
And remove
okay.
that blockage. So there's a lot of anger there. There's a lot of sadness. Like, you're so, like, I can feel it. You get up into the spirit world and you want to cry. You're just like, you feel like an absolute failure. You're not. Okay, let's just go. There's a part of Craig that knows how to
There's a part of me that knows how to
let go and heal,
let go and heal,
of not being able to look at things logically,
of not being able to look at things logically,
and to understand
and to understand
I had no chance.
I had no chance.
The extreme sadness you feel
The extreme sadness that I feel
when you do not master a challenge,
when I do not master a challenge,
and the extreme hatred and anger that you feel towards yourself.
and the extreme hatred and anger that I feel towards myself and to other people
And to other
that
people, yeah.
had done what they were doing, and for the reasons that they do it seems like pointless, like
Yeah,
just, for their own self-interest, no matter how small it is, and the anger that
yeah,
I'd feel towards those people.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
lots of confusion around not being able to process these emotions properly.
And lots of confusion for not being able to process these emotions properly.
And understand that there was no way you could win.
And understand that there's no way I could win.
That part of your being is willing to inform the rest of you now.
That part of my being is willing to inform the rest of me now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Craig's mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
My mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
Take a deep breath. Transmuting all of that negative energy into positive energy, dispersing it back into the universe. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
Now, I know you felt that leave.
Through my heart. And
Yeah.
then I just burped. It was through my heart. Like it was like like when you feel anger, it's in your heart. You know what I mean? So like I felt, and then I just burped, which was like a weird one because last time I was burping for no reason. Same thing. So
well, because what happens is when that energy is being removed from your, really it's held in the solar plexus area. When that energy is, or wherever, it's wherever your soul decided to store it. But when it's being removed, it creates all these pressure changes inside the body as well. So yeah, burping is like you're releasing air, because it's a pressure change within the body. Now, that lifetime is now clear. Okay. Do you feel anything left?
No, and what was bubbling up when we were doing that is like I feel anger toward people a lot,
Yeah.
It's just something, and I've recognized that, because there's other people, and I was like, doesn't everyone feel this way when someone's being discourteous or whatever? And then there's some people just bounces right off of them, and I just started emulating that, where I just let things go and just do what I have to do to logically get through a problem and try not to let it emotionally get to me. So when we were doing that tapping, I was realizing I would be angry at those slave holders, or really they would be just the people, the warden or whatever. They would just be the correctional officers of that, they're not like the slave masters. They're just the lower people in charge deciding, let's kill this one. And then I thought I would be angry at these people, to just search for a reason to kill someone, just for their own entertainment or whatever.
Well, because if they didn't, what I'm getting very strongly is if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, they would be killed. So it was a life or death situation. Now, the person that actually enslaved everybody was the king.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And the women went through a really difficult time as well. I mean, they were enslaved. So they were actually, they were raped frequently. They were forced to have babies. I see that the babies were being ripped away from them. And they were actually the boy babies. Okay, like, don't we know this sounds, I don't know the Jewish history in and out, okay, but the boy babies were being whisked away, but some of them were being killed, but others were being enslaved at birth. So they were being raised in these camps that were, you know, basically like military camps. They were brainwashing these kids, these boys, and they were enslaving them from birth. You know, I mean, obviously you can't force a baby to do work, right? We know that. But
Right.
as soon as they were able to do work, even from like 2 or 3 years old, their contributions may have been small, but en masse, they were very large contributions, you know, because they had this goal of building up this kingdom and they enslaved the Jewish people. Okay, so you know what? I probably need to consult with some sort of history professor to find out the accuracy of that. Well, it is accurate. I'm sorry. I've never found where these CTT sessions are not accurate. It's whether or not that was actually reported. Um, I've yet to
Yeah.
have a lifetime pop up where somebody was in like Auschwitz or, you know, I guess, you know, I wonder how that's going to be an interesting one. That's
Yeah.
going to be, I won't be happy about it, but you know, I have a job to do and that's what I'm going to do. And if it means that I can help that person, then I do my job. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's go back. So that lifetime is clear for you.
Hmm.
Now, I'm now connecting. Why did you create that? I'm now connecting with a lifetime. Oh, okay. This is weird because your eyes are bloodshot. You are some sort of creature, but you're like a hybrid creature. Okay. It's really weird. I don't know what you are, but we'll find out. And you are a hybrid creature. There's something you look so different to everybody else. Almost like kind of like a porcupine, but not. I don't know. Anyway, this is what they're telling me is this creature is extinct. So whatever this creature was that you were is no longer in existence on the planet. There are fossils still here. If you know somebody can discover them and put them together, I feel like this creature is very native to around Asia, possibly like Australia sort of way, one of those islands around there. And this creature is strange. And because you look so different, and actually what it was a modification. Okay, you were ahead of the trend. It was an evolutionary thing, and your DNA and your body was already starting to modify in order to, you know, enhance your survival. Listen, this happens all the time, doesn't it? We think about, you know, elephants are being born in Africa now with no tusks. Why? Because they're hunted for their tusks. So now they've made these modifications within their DNA that elephants are now being born without tusks. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, how does an elephant survive without tusks? Well, it has more chance of a survival without tusks than it does with them, because with them they're going to be killed by poachers. Okay, so this makes sense to me. And you have gone into this modification. So what happened was your species was like almost like a delicacy for predators, and they love to eat you. So now you've evolved into this like porcupine type creature with these spikes to stop from being eaten. But what happened? You're being rejected by your family, and it's very difficult to survive on their own, on your own, without their help, right? As a young creature. And things are trying people predators are trying to eat you, but they can't penetrate because of these spikes, right? You have these spikes, and but it scares your family members, so they actually completely reject you, and you live this extreme loneliness and this extreme lonely existence. And you are just plagued with sadness at this point. I don't know where this is going. Anyway, you're plagued with sadness. So let's tap. I think we're going to have to peel some layers off here. Let's tap. There's a part of Craig that knows how to
There's a part of me that knows how to
let go and heal.
let go and heal.
My DNA modifications
My DNA modifications
made it in such a way
made it in such a way
that my family rejected me.
that my family rejected me.
My life was filled with extreme sadness
My life was filled with extreme sadness
and loneliness
and loneliness
and guilt.
and guilt.
You felt very guilty for being different.
Felt guilty for being different. Embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Embarrassed.
Oh, my
And
ears
you,
started ringing.
yeah. And you can't help the way you look,
And I can't help the way I look,
but you
or
feel
the
like
way
a
I am,
failure again, the
and
way you are.
I feel like a failure again. And
Nobody likes me.
nobody likes me.
And there's lots of anger there towards yourself and others.
And the feelings of anger towards myself and others.
Mm-hmm. You would rather be eaten by predators
I would rather be eaten by predators
than to live this existence.
than to live this existence.
Because yeah, go ahead.
And I can't even be eaten by predators because of these spikes.
Yeah. Very good.
I can't even do that.
No.
Yeah.
That part of your being is willing to inform the rest of you now.
That part of my being is willing to inform the rest of me now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Your mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
My mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
Take a deep breath. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
Okay, now I know you felt that leave as well.
I didn't feel it leave, but I felt the ears ringing, when we were reciting all the different things to tap off. And, for some reason, I just burped. So crazy. I didn't even eat. I didn't even eat. It's just such a crazy thing.
Yeah, that's because it left. You're having this internal shifts. So the most important thing we need to do now is to link this up to your present life. And okay, you equate rejection with failure. Okay, just let's follow spirit on this.
Okay.
Every time you go to make a business deal and it's rejected, and you equate that with failure. It's a personal failure. You put an offer in, it's rejected, and you feel awful. It's like, no, you have this thing where you're hell bent on just bucking the system, right? You just have this thing, but the problem is it creates all this chaos in your life, okay? And again, when you create that chaos in your life on a spiritual and on an emotional level, it doesn't help you. And you take it as a failure, a personal failure, and that's not good. Like, why would you take that as a personal failure? I don't know. So say for instance, okay, hypothetically speaking, you're going to buy a house, you put an offer in on the house, the offer's rejected, they're wanting like too much money, and the fact that you weren't able to talk them into accepting your offer or whatever, I'm just hypothetically speaking, it's like that comes back and you take that as a personal failure. And you start down this spiral of a bit of depression, anxiety, fear, and you start on this spiral of self-judgment and rejection. And then you link those with times in your childhood. Look, I'm not going to go into specifics, right? Because this is going out on YouTube. So I'm not going to go into specifics, but there are certain times in your life where you were extremely rejected in childhood. You know what I'm talking about. I know what this means, right? You were extremely rejected. And you, this is all linked in to that lifetime of this modification, because actually when you were born in this lifetime as well, you were set up to be something so special, just like in that previous lifetime. And that rejection is so painful, right? I mean, painful, but you take it as it's something, you know, you've done and it's a personal failure. But that rejection that I'm talking about, and you understand this, is not your personal failure. It's actually the personal failure of other people. But you're carrying this around, right? You see how you've recreated this over and over and over, you know? Okay, let's link it through the CTT. You've got this lifetime of the DNA modification where you're so rejected and you're sad and you live this life of like darkness and sadness, right? Because sadness and negative emotion are very dark. Then you go into a lifetime of I'm a slave and I'm going to overcome all these impossibilities. And the fact that, I mean, they were impossible. There was no way you could overcome this, right? And the fact that you didn't, you then actually rejected yourself, right? And then you've come into this life as this extremely extraordinary, special individual from your first breath, and you experience rejection along the way in childhood. And that's painful, and it's deep down in your soul that it's extremely painful. Now, what's going on is it's creating blocks in your life because you're spending so much time going after these things to not feel like a failure, these impossible things to not feel like a failure, that you should be doing so many more productive things. Does that make sense to you?
Well, that's where it hits home, is that I have this vision of myself that, you know, I feel like I could, it's very achievable. And then I've been kind of dilly-dallying, and I guess that's where that makes sense right now. Like that's the problem, you know, where I'm kind of split. Like I don't know which direction to go in, so I'm not taking all my goals more seriously. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Okay,
sense.
but your goals sometimes, Craig, are so impossible, there's no point in having them as a goal.
They are very high. Yeah, that's true. They are very high.
And instead of using your time more constructively, you are chasing these impossible goals. Okay, if you don't mind me being personal, and you can cut this out, let's talk about that house up in Jacksonville.
Right.
How much time and energy, money did you waste on chasing that?
Couple $1,000.
Exactly. But the time you were gone away, you had to go up there. And I think the time is more important than the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for
You
sure. Yeah.
wasted days upon days upon days upon days going after something that was completely impossible.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
spirit are saying to you and your soul and your higher self is that your time would be better spent doing other things. If you go after goals that are possible, listen, everybody loves a challenge. I love challenges. You love that's just how we're built, right? We
Hmm.
love, we're the type of people, you know, you and I gel very well together. It's like we're cut from the same cloth, right? We
Hmm.
love challenges. We love to excel and exceed these challenges, but sometimes these challenges are so impossible. You need to put in like a stop sign or a red alert button to say, you know what, Craig, your time would be better spent doing something else, spending time with your kids, spending time on your learning, doing things that are more productive, spending time with your family, your wife, reading, whatever. Your soul would rather that you did that instead of keep chasing these impossibilities. And so,
So they're the projects, like sometimes I see a project as an obligation, so then it makes sense. But like, am I not supposed to engage in these massive projects that, you know, are wearing on me? Is that what
you
my soul is essentially trying to tell me?
you have no filter there. So what I'm saying is, you can't look at a project and see that it's impossible a lot of times, because you see this as nothing is impossible. Again, this all stems back to the rejection, the fear of failure, the enslavement. You need to listen. What we're going to do today, this is what I'm getting from spirit, and your grandma's here as well. And she's like, that's right, that's right. She's so sweet. um and she loves you so much.
Mhm.
She is, you know, spirit are saying we need to install like a discernment button that says, okay, I can see this is going to be a complete waste of my time. I'm going to end up spending weeks on this, hours on this, money on this, and I'm going to walk away with nothing. So that's what the lesson is here today. It's to use your time more constructively and to see when things are not good. So it's to basically employ your own intuition into the projects and into the situations and knowing when to walk away, because you don't know when to walk away.
Oh, I see, I see. Because the last few projects that I've been involved in were ultimately, they crashed and burned, but they could be interpreted as a success. But there was just a point where I had to see it through to the end. And hmm, I see. So I'm supposed to use my discernment to say that this is something I should not be doing.
Yeah. So let's, it's a little muddled, but we'll get through it. Let's cap
Okay.
for this. More things will
Okay.
come through. There's a part of Craig that knows how to
There's a part of me that knows how to
joyfully and easily manifest
joyfully and easily manifest
a huge discernment button
a huge discernment button
within himself
within myself
to know when something is going to be a complete waste of time,
to know when something is going to be a complete waste of time,
to immediately look at it and
to
walk away,
immediately look at it and walk away,
and know that your time is better spent
to know that my time is better spent
chasing worthwhile projects
chasing worthwhile projects
and feeding your soul.
and feeding my soul.
Is there anything else you want to add? Because when you walk away from, or when you actually, these projects crash and burn, you don't walk away. They crash and burn to the point where you have to leave. And it sends you around this loop of disappointment, shame, depression, anxiety, feeling like a failure. Like there's no reason for you to feel like that.
Sometimes relief too. Like I have an obligation to see the projects through, and then when they fail, I'm like, all right, I don't have to do that anymore. You know,
I
I
hope
can
you
let
don't
that go.
abandon me.
I mean, you know, this is
Yeah,
it's
I
not the
know
same thing. I'll
I know.
describe to you after, but yeah,
The part of your being is willing to inform the rest of you now.
that part of my being is willing to inform the rest of me now.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
It's doing so now with unlimited love, grace, and ease.
Your mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
My mind, body, and spirit are receiving the love.
Healing, information, permission.
Healing, information, permission.
And deep relief now.
And deep relief now.
Take a deep breath. And I'm actually going in and inserting white light in those spaces that we opened up. Information transfer is now complete.
Information transfer is now complete.
So be it, it is done.
So be it, it is done.
How do you feel?
When you go in and you say I'm transmuting the energy, or what are you doing exactly? Because I feel like that's when I feel sensations. I don't know if it's in my head, but you know, when you just did it now, I felt something in my head, you know, and even now I'm trying to feel it. Like, all right, let's see if I can feel it. It's like I feel nothing. And then when you're transmuting the energy, it's like, what are you doing exactly? Is this like a like it's like like something that you do? It's like an action, like a verb,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing exactly? It's like a you're using your vision to you know, to change something.
So I basically can manipulate or move energy around. And what I'm doing is removing the energy. So you want to take out the bad stuff, and because sometimes it gets stuck in places, and you want to just kind of help that along. And then when we're doing that, you know, we're manifesting good things. I'm just like basically shooting white light energy into your body.
Ah, okay, that's where it makes sense. Right, right, that makes sense. And when I envision, like, okay, like, you know, imagine the white light or close the eyes. I forget what part of the script was. I also do the same with the light, because I had success with that with meditation. And then I don't feel it when I'm doing it unless I'm meditating for a long time, and then I feel it. But then when you do it and I'm thinking it, then I for sure feel it. So
Yeah.
that makes sense now, because I was always wondering, like, okay, what magic is this? You know, like, what's happening?
Yeah. Well, and this is where the CTT runs into problems. Okay. I got people that want to be CTT practitioners, but if you can't do what I can do, there are people that can do what I can do, but most people can't. Let's be honest.
They can't do the energy thing though.
No.
They can see the narratives. And where are the narratives coming from? Because you're getting visions, right?
Yeah, I'm reading. Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly right.
Is someone giving it to you?
Yes.
Or is it something? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, your higher self is.
Okay.
It's
all right, should I stop this one right here?
Yeah.
Is there anything to add? Okay.
Just how do you feel right now?
I feel like when we were doing not the manifest of the discernment button, but when we were doing the other relief ones, I started my nose started running. But then also my kid was just sick yesterday, and I'm thinking, did I just start getting it? But it stopped running now, and I kept burping, and then I feel a little different, and it's a weird thing to say, but like I can tell when I look at my hands, like my hands look different. Okay, fine. Then we did the, like if you start, well, whatever, it's just hard to explain the different feeling. Then when we did the manifest one, I can't say I felt different from that, but I still feel the same from the relief. Yeah.
But see, what we're doing is we are removing blockages that are present in this current lifetime, right? That are stuck. So even though you feel like a failure, it's causing these massive blockages to your soul journey, right? Because then you go on chasing the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one, right? And what's happening is that's not a productive use of your time. You're moving, I told you, you're moving into this new realm of growth.
So, and that's coming from my higher self, like it's like I'm going into a new place, because I kind of feel that way lately, and then the CTT is just one of those conductors of that, like it's facilitating this, and maybe it's not for everyone, but I feel like it's just one of those things of stepping stones for me to, like, all right, get rid of this quality, get rid of that, and I can't say that I feel like a failure. It's just I put a lot on myself, and it makes sense that I'm, what would you say, compensating? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not a failure because I put so much out and I do so much, and there's no one that can do as much as me. And it kind of like, all right, well, maybe that's coming from negative feelings of failure that I don't even notice anymore, because I don't feel like a failure. I just feel like, I feel residual anger towards others. I feel judgment towards others. I feel like, when someone else is wrong about something, it's like, I think negative things about them. Like, it's just not a healthy way to, because that goes into me. Like, that's my
We're
problem.
not finished. We're not finished. Okay, because as you're talking, this is coming through. And the reason you have those negative feelings is because of the rejection. We missed out the rejection. Okay, let's go. There's
wait. Okay, one second. I'm just multitasking at the same time. So let's do the third part of this. Let me do
so let's